Welcome to episode 3 of Mind Matters. My name is Rich Bruckner. I'm here talking about, this is the second part of a 4-part series of me going through my experience with The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. This is not my first time going through this book. However, I feel the effects on, this time going through it, probably more than I could ever remember feeling it. I don't know if it's because I'm already familiar with some of the practices and I'm able to dive deeper each time I go through it. But now I'm really starting to see things happen, and I'm on day 14 today. So I'm going to share my experience with that. I first of all want to thank you if you're here watching this, if you've been following this series. I'm truly grateful for every single person that takes in this content, especially if you're going to leave a comment or like one of these videos to just, tell me what your experience is with this. I really want to hear back from people. That's part of what's been great about my experience with this book, is that I've been able to share it with a lot of people and discuss it with so many, great friends that have had the same types of experiences as me. So, just going to dive in. If you haven't seen the first part of this, you can go back in this same playlist on my channel, and just see what my recap of week 1 was like. Week 2 was a little bit more powerful, I feel like. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because I started to feel a definite difference in my attitude just going about my everyday life. And earlier this week, I remember, I walked into work and a guy in my office right away was like, dude, you've been on such a positive wavelength this whole week. And, and he's not the type of, he's not like the positive thinking type. He doesn't read these types of books. So he has no idea, any of the stuff that I'm doing. I don't talk to him about it. So for him to come out of nowhere and just say that to me unprovoked was probably the greatest testimonial that I can get that this thing is working, that I'm noticeably more positive and, noticeably have a more positive attitude than usual. And I already consider myself a pretty positive person in the grand scheme of things. So to see that change is reflected in my interactions with other people, I'm definitely happy about that. So that's one major thing. I feel better. I feel more productive. I feel happier. And again, I already said in episode 1 of this series, I don't want to get into detail about what each task is, but I will say that every day that I complete the task, and it's another day, that's it's a 28-day process. So being finished with day 14 today, I feel like I'm truly accomplishing something just by sticking to this commitment to myself to finish this. Because, one thing I know is that if I can't keep a promise to myself, how am I ever going to keep a promise to anybody else? So, I actually put a lot of importance on the promises that I keep to myself. So making the time to go through this every single day is a win for me, no matter how the day goes. And then, the other thing is, so today was day 14. I started my task off this morning and just felt good about it all around. And then the weirdest thing happened. So part of my story I've spoken about in other content. I haven't talked about it, I don't think, in this series. But, before I was into positive thinking, and before I ever found this book the first time that I ever read it back in 2016, long before that, I was a heroin addict, a drug addict in general. There wasn't a drug out there that I wasn't addicted to. I really was just addicted to getting outside of my own feeling. I just wasn't comfortable in my own skin. So I just was a completely different person, I'll say. And before I was the type of person to think positively about anything or to ever make a gratitude list, I was a drug addict. So when I got into recovery, I've had a few different mentors in the 12-step program that I attend. I won't say which 12-step program, but in the 12-step program that I'm a part of, we have what we call a sponsor, and the sponsor's job is to just share their experience with the process. A lot of people think a sponsor tells you what to do, how to live. That's not the case. A sponsor's job is only to share their experience in recovery and how it worked for them. So I've been very blessed that I've had, I think, the best sponsors that I ever could have found in my process. I've had to switch sponsors along the way for personal reasons, but the sponsors that I had were never the type that would judge my behavior or would try to tell me what to do or how to respond to things. Like, I always had the type of sponsor that would just share their experience and then let me live and, handle life however I wanted to handle it. But I've been very absent from the 12-step program for a long time, and I can make any excuse I want, say that I've been busy or, whatever the case may be, but I haven't really been in contact with these guys nearly as much as I should. My first sponsor I really hadn't spoken to in a really long time, as a matter of fact, but my current sponsor too, I hadn't spoken to him in at least a month, and, that's not really normal for me. So today I did my whole routine on this, and I was driving out east to go to this place. I'm having a party this weekend. I invited a bunch of family and friends over to my house for a barbecue, and there's this place out east, Briarmere Farms, and they have these amazing pies, but it's like an hour drive from where I live, and I'm driving out there, and within literally a 1 minute time span, I get a text from my current sponsor, my former sponsor, and another guy from the 12-step meetings that I'm friends with, literally back to back to back. It was the weirdest thing. I'm not as connected. My first like 5 years in recovery, I was very intertwined with these people. I had a lot, my everyday life was just surrounded with other people in recovery, and probably the last couple of years of my life I haven't been that involved. So to have those 3 texts happen like that, to me it felt like, people call it a coincidence. I mean, I can't just chalk it up to coincidence, especially with the fact that I had been thinking about reaching out to my sponsor all week and just never felt like I had time. I just never felt like it was a good time. I just never felt like I had the time to call him because I had so much going on this week. And I kept thinking, I'll call him tomorrow. So to get that text from him right off the bat, I was like, all right, like, that's weird that he texted me, and I've been thinking it, because he's not the type to reach out, especially through a text. So when I got that text, I was like, all right. Then my first sponsor texted me, and we haven't really been talking. And then, like I said, the other guy, hit me up at the same time, and I just felt like there was a reason for that. And it could be maybe pulling me back into being involved with the meetings. Maybe I need to help somebody. Maybe I need to go help a newcomer. Like, that's part of recovery. Is, they say we could only keep what we have by giving it away, meaning by helping others, we help ourselves to stay clean for another day. By helping another person stay clean, we help ourselves stay clean. So that's just something that came into my mind. And another thing is, earlier this week, I ran into another friend that I haven't seen since 2019. It's been 4 years since I've seen this guy. I ran into him at the post office, of all places, and I was so glad that I did, because there was a conversation that me and him had to have. And we never were going to have it if we didn't just run into each other, because we're not texting each other. We're not hitting each other up on social media. Like, we just, we don't have beef. We just kind of went different ways, and, we just weren't talking. Like, I wasn't reaching out to him. He wasn't reaching out to me. But by reaching out to each other, we had a conversation that we really needed to have. And I'm grateful that I had that opportunity to run into him and it's made me think about a lot of my past relationships and like people that I need to reach out to. Not necessarily that I need to get back into their lives the way that I once was, because you can't put things to the way that they used to be. You can't expect things to go back to the way that they once were. But the truth is, life is a thing that it doesn't go on forever. So there's people that you might not realize it, and I might not realize it, but we may have had our last conversation already. And there's certain people that, if God forbid, if I got that news, I don't know if I'd be happy with that last conversation that we had. So it's just, having certain conversations with people has made me realize certain things that are important that need to be prioritized. And I guess what I'm saying is that, does it necessarily mean that by reading this book, it's the reason why I ran into these people or why these people reached out to me? It could be, or it could just be that I'm hyper aware of why it's important that I ran into these people, because I'm doing the steps in this book. So you could believe that it's coincidence or that it's magic, or you could believe whatever you want it to believe. But there is a definite positive effect no matter what the reason for it is. So you don't have to believe that it's actually magic that's making these things happen. But the process in this book does do something to you if you do it with an open mind. So, I'm totally open to believe that I would have ran into this guy anyway. I would have gotten these text messages anyway. But my mind is open to a different perspective because I've been practicing gratitude every day, and I'm happy that I'm seeing things the way that I'm seeing them. And I'm grateful for this book, and I'm grateful for everybody who's watching this video. So if you watch this to this point, leave a comment and let me know what you think. If you've gone through this process or you're going through this process with this book, leave a comment and let me know about that too. If you want to continue, I'm going to make another recap on week 3 when I'm up to day 21. I'm going to do another recap. So subscribe so you don't miss that. Subscribe to see the third part of this series. It's going to be on episode 5, but it's going to be the third week of me completing this process. Definitely make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. And, share this with somebody who you think might need to see it. Thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon.